What does your life look like if there were no restrictions at all? Would it be spending all day long with your family, your parents, your children, your grandchildren? Would it be serving others? Would it be in impoverished countries handing out food and water? A lifestyle that you want, your dream, were there no limitations? Are you willing to die for that vision? Because if you're not, then maybe that's not what you really want out of life. If you're not willing to sacrifice it all for that, maybe it's not your vision. Or the second idea would be maybe you don't love yourself enough to die for that, right? If there's not anybody else to die for but yourself, are you willing to put in all that sacrifice for that vision? Are you willing to die for your dream? It's for you. Who to love more than but yourself, other than God, of course. But who to love more than yourself? You've got to put that air mask on yourself first before you put it on somebody else. You have to survive to be the best you can be in order to serve others. So why not be willing to die for your own dream, if it truly is your dream? Yo, what is up, everybody? This is the End-to-End Podcast, and I'm your host, Dr. Yun Nguyen. And if you're new to the podcast or if you've listened to the podcast before, my friends call me the Ninja or Prolific Ninja. And because my fans are my friends, you can call me Ninja too. This is the End-to-End Podcast, the Alpha to the Omega, the beginning to the end, talking about life, motivation, drive, success, self-improvement, and offering you morsels in this all-you-can-eat buffet called life. A rainy Monday, we're recording a little bit early, episode here. Glad to be back in the studios, feeling fantastic. I'll tell you what, this particular one, the reason I feel a little bit better is I got challenged to do the half marathon in January here in Houston, Texas. And I'll tell you what, I am a sprinter and not a distance runner. The longest I think I've ran before in the past is 2 miles. So now we're talking about 13 miles. And so definitely have to train up for that. I get tired driving 13 miles. Much less trying to run 13 miles, but training up for that. So I'm adding a lot of cardio, jogging with the weight vest. So I'm surprised at how good and light I feel. But before I go into the topic today, I want to start my episode as I start my day. For many of y'all new here, I always start my day with an expression of gratitude to God, the universe, for another day, having woken up to be able to impact the lives of others. And so I want to thank you. I want to thank you for listening, tuning in, and liking, commenting, sharing, following the show, subscribing. Our viewership continues to go up. Our likes and follows continue to go up. And I thank you for helping to share the news and spread the word on our mission, which is to inspire billions of lives across this planet to help people live to their fullest controllable potential so that they can be fulfilled and feel successful about their lives. Secondly, I do this on my own dime, do this on my own time. So a lot of money, a lot of time invested into this project, a whole team here, production, they invest their time, their effort. So the only way we can spread the message is if you share the show. And so I like to say, if you're knowledge swole, share the show. That's how we grow. If you find value in any of this episode or the next episode or any of the episodes in the past, we're, I think, episode 82 now, doing this on a weekly basis. Haven't missed one yet, knock on wood, for almost a year and a half. If you're knowledge swole, please do share the show. That's how we grow. Before I get into the specific topic of this episode, I want you to go on a trip with me real quick. I want you to close your eyes. And if you're driving and listening to this in your car, do not close your eyes, but in your mind's eye, okay, in your imagination. I want you to visualize with me for a few seconds on what you want your life to be like in a year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, your whole lifetime, your lifespan, whatever you think you have left. What would that life look like if there were no restrictions on anything? Money wasn't a limitation, time wasn't a limitation, opportunity wasn't a limitation, other people's obligations wasn't a limitation. Just there's no rules to this. There's no boundary to this. Envision what your life what you want your life to look like, or what would it look like. It could be anything. Living off the coast of, Tuscany, Italy, in Europe. It could be in a Swiss chalet in the mountains with snow. A lifestyle, what would that be? And I'm not talking about a material object like a Lambo or McLaren or whatever, or a car or a yacht or whatever. Nothing materialistic. What does your life look like if there were no restrictions at all? Would it be spending all day long with your family, your parents, your children, your grandchildren? Would it be serving others? Would it be in impoverished countries handing out food and water? A lifestyle that you want, your dream, were there no limitations? Okay? So as you have that in your mind, I'm going to switch real quick to a different question and then come back to the vision that you have. Many of you all out there with kids in the audience, or a pet you love that you treat like a family, or you have your parents or other family members that you love dearly. I would ask you a question for those of you all with a moral compass. Okay, there's obviously crazies that this wouldn't apply to, but the question would be, would you be willing to die for that person? Or alternatively, who would you be willing to die for? Right? I've got kids. I've got 2 kids. I would do anything. I would give up my life for them, my wife, my parents, right? There's nothing I would not do to sacrifice that they could live on if it were ever in that scenario, whether it's danger or opportunity or whatever. If whatever they needed, I would be willing to die for. That's me personally. So my question is that for you, who or what would you be willing to die for? Okay. Now, the follow-up question would be why? If you're willing to die for somebody or something, why? Right? Obviously, for kids and all that, it's love, legacy. It's an unselfishness, a willingness to have them survive in the event, in whatever event, in sacrifice of myself. Right? And in essence, for many of us with kids and so on, you are doing that. You're living your life for them, right? You're sacrificing the gift of your time and your energy for them. So you are kind of dying for them, but that's the why, right? It's that same feeling of why. You would die for that or them. All right? So let's go back to that vision that you had before. If there were no restrictions, no limitation, what would your life look like? What does your ideal life look like in whatever time frame you want? And so my question to you is, are you willing to die for that vision? Because if you're not, then maybe that's not what you really want out of life. Right? If you're not willing to sacrifice it all for that, maybe it's not your vision. Or the second idea would be maybe you don't love yourself enough to die for that. Right? If there's not anybody else to die for but yourself, are you willing to put in all that sacrifice for that vision? Because when I go back to the beginning of the podcast, this is no limitation, no restrictions, no nothing. What do you want your life to look like? That's for you. It's for yourself. It's what you want inside you, deep in your heart, supposedly. So then why aren't we willing to sacrifice to quote unquote die for that? The long hours, the sweat, the blood, the tears, the drive, the frustration, the disappointment, the persistence, the fight. Or have you already given up on it? Maybe you had this vision 10 years ago, but you gave up on it because you didn't think you could do it. Well, then why aren't you willing to die for that vision for yourself? Right? This goes back to a podcast a couple episodes ago about passion. You have to be obsessed with the passion. You have to be willing to go all in. In essence, you have to be willing to die for your passion, for your vision of what you want your life to be. That's the only way it works. You can't go halfway. You can't go. This is how I know. I see this a lot. I watch people in their normal course of business, whatever industry they're in, whatever business, whether it's manual labor, roofing, or it's a professional job, being a doctor, a lawyer, whatever. And I just observe. And I observe the attitude with which they approach their job, doing their job. Or I observe, for example, if there's something they could do today, but they put it off. And sometimes I'm guilty of this too, but like they would rather fuck around versus like actually do that extra thing that would make their job easier. Right? And then in my mind, I register, okay, that's not what they really want to be doing. They might be in that profession, but that profession is not for them. And then that also determines whether or not I would hire them or would I would contract with them to do the job if I needed a job in that area. Because they're not willing to die for it. They're not willing to do whatever it took to be successful in it. And so I ask back to you, like, are you willing to die for that vision that we talked about, that you have in your head right now in listening to this? I know I would. I've got a certain vision for what I want my life to look like a year, 5, 10 years from now. And trust me, it's not all in every day, go, 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 go. It's not like that, right? There's ebb and flow. Sometimes you have low energy, you still got to do it. But it's ebb and flow on how you feel about it. But then are you willing to take the actions and do the steps that are required to quote unquote figuratively die for your dream? Because if you're not, then maybe it's not really your dream. And you need to reset your expectations to it. Okay? Are you willing to die for your dream? It's for you. Who to love more than but yourself, other than God, of course. But who to love more than yourself? You've got to put that air mask on yourself first before you put it on somebody else. You have to survive to be the best you can be in order to serve others. So why not be willing to die for your own dream? And if you achieve, or when you achieve your dream, look at how many people you can affect and serve otherwise once you hit that dream. So you should be willing to die for it if it truly is your dream. So as you go through the day-to-day, whenever you listen to this podcast, morning or evening, as you go through the rest of the day, think about, are you willing to die for your dream? And if you are, good for you. And if you're not, ask yourself, why not? Really quick episode this week. I got a team going to trial, so I've got to help them out. And it's a crunch time. It's like studying for a final exam or a final presentation. So really short episode. Again, ask yourself, are you willing to die for your dream? I end my episodes as I end my day. For those of you new, I always, at the end of the day, thank God, thank the universe for another day lived, hoping to have lived to my fullest controllable potential, an opportunity to have helped others. And so for that, I want to thank you for listening and tuning in. As I said at the beginning of the show, if your knowledge swole, share the show. That's how we grow. Coming soon, another episode of Prolific POV, Prolific Q&A, and also some guests coming on board. I'm really excited to bring them on board to hear their story of success, their adversity, how they overcame, and how they became badasses to the day today. So looking forward to bringing you another episode. Please stay tuned in this holiday season. We're looking to bring a lot of new content and a lot of new opportunities for you all to get engaged with us and for us to engage with you. Again, thank you for listening. Dr. Yun Win signing off. And as I always end every show, be great today, but be even more grateful. Looking forward to talking to you again very, very soon.